Taking off the mask. Some people have one mask they wear around everyone else, and when they come home, that mask comes off. Other people live through the mask, and then others have different masks for different social groups and different situations. And then there's those of us who don't wear masks. Sometimes we paint our face pretty, but it's our face. I want to read Thanatos from the book. I'm feeling called. One sec. Flip it to the shaman. Shaman? I never say shaman. Who says shaman? I always say shaman. For those of you that don't know what a shaman is, it is somebody who works with the soul, who heals the soul. I personally am actually on a shamanic journey. I have been slowly working on that journey, and I'm not going to discuss it at this time. It is an ongoing sacred process. And it comes from many different places in the world. It's not only an indigenous practice. In case, again, we were speaking on ignorance, you know, educate yourself. The particular shamanism that I am studying is Celtic shamanism, because that is part of my ancestry. Okay, so some of you perhaps look into the ancient practices of the healing arts of whatever part of your ancestry that you reverberate with the most. And some of you do not have the privilege of knowing your ancestry, whether you were adopted or you come from a culture where those records were not kept. I have the privilege of being able to trace one side of my family back to ancient Scottish times, to the Pict people, right? P-I-C-T. The blue people, the ancient Celtic people. However, even that culture, before the 1000s, there wasn't written documentation. You see that a lot with Germanic cultures and with people of color, where their cultures were desecrated and they lost touch with their ancestry due to enslavement, due to sacrifice, due to separation and lack of access to that culture. That there are some that are deeply woven into their ancestry. They are fortunate even coming from those backgrounds. I see this a lot with Latin cultures, where the community continues the legacy of the sacredness of the practice. Okay. So if you feel like going on a journey and you don't really know where to start, and you have an interest in spirituality, you have an interest in discovering your roots because you want to, say, get into ancestral veneration, you want to pay tribute to those that came before you. And you know, there's another thing that not everyone talks about, but if you are adopted and you have been accepted, and I'm getting heavy chills as I'm saying this, so this is resonating with some. If you come from a family where you have been loved and you've been integrated into their culture, and perhaps you, I'm feeling a grandma for some of you, were very close to them, and there was no separation between bloodlines. Because, I mean, if you think about soul family is not typically blood. It can be sometimes. We can have family that is soulmates. But some of us don't have connections with our blood family for one reason or another. Now that's a privilege if you do. It's a privilege if you have this information. Some of you are very uncomfortable about this topic. My throat chakra keeps trying to shut down. The way we speak. Yeah, I just flipped to the venom. Yeah, some of you think this is poison, and I don't understand why you're still here if you feel that way, but, you know, perhaps there's something you can learn. So if you're interested in learning more, you can, even if you are adopted, I feel like you can also still be a part of that ancestral lineage, even if it's not in your blood. I'm somebody who believes that we reincarnate into different families for a reason, for some kind of soul contract, some kind of purpose, right? And not all of us have some huge purpose in our family, but some of us do. And sometimes you are the odd one out, and that can mean that you're the generational chain breaker, you're the healer, you're the odd one, you could also be the family legacy, you could be the super talented one that elevates your family to a new level, or like I said, you could be the adopted one who happens to be accepted wholly. And you know, there's some people who adopt children who just so much wanted to have the privilege of a child, and they treat their children better than some people who are blood. So if you have a connection to the heritage of your adopted family, and I feel like I'm speaking to someone specifically here, or a few specific souls, and you have access to that information, dive into it, because I'm willing to bet that it is possible that you have past life ties as a blood family member to that family. And if you don't, and you can figure these things out by journeying, you can find these things out by working with a shaman, you can find these things out by doing your own vision quests. You can if you feel a connection to the culture, you can learn so much more. I encourage you to open your mind and consider the possibilities. Okay. Now we were going to look at Thanatos. I hope that helped whoever was meant for. LXX123. I think that's 73, but I could be wrong. I want to say L is 50. Let's see here. This card is black and white. Actually, before I read the description, I will channel into it and see, but let me just pull it up real quick. I know I'm saying let me. That's such a silly thing to say. Oh, let me. Like you're going to stop me, right? The language we use, right? When you become more mindful, you think about the way you say things to yourself, and you start to realize how much our words really do hold power, and how that can change our reality and our perception of the world. Ooh, how interesting. This card's art starts off with the initiations. Speaking of initiations and shamanism and journeying, some of you are very much on that quest. Page 212 and 213.